Hi loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I make new videos every single week and I have a lot of fun videos coming up for you guys really soon, so be sure you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. So this week's video is all about ways you might not realize your ADD or ADHD affects you. I want to make a really quick disclaimer. I'm not a mental health professional and I don't claim to be. Everything that I will be discussing in this video regarding ADD or ADHD is all from my personal experience and from what I've discussed with my friends who also struggle with this disorder. If you do think you have this disorder, please consult it with your doctor so that you can come up with the path that's right for you. I also do not speak for everybody with this disorder. Not everybody deals with the things I will talk about in this video because, again, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience and discussions I've had with my friends who also have this. But I do want to talk about this because there's so many things about this disorder that are not talked about or stigmatized. So it's important to bring awareness to this in hopes that if there are people struggling with this, they don't feel so alone. And for people without this disorder who are watching this to truly understand what it's like to have this disorder. So I am personally diagnosed with ADD, that's attention deficit disorder. It essentially makes it hard for me to focus on pretty much everything, and I find that my mind works in a completely different way from those around me, and I don't see this as a bad thing at all. I kind of see it as part of me at this point. I think it gives me the ability to see and experience this world differently from those around me and have a different perspective on life. People with this disorder, in my experience, have been so creative and productive, but there are a ton of things that we struggle with and we may not know why. So I've come up with a list of odd things that people with ADD or ADHD might experience because of their disorder. Number one is you have a hard time sleeping. Some people with this disorder tend to have a harder time falling asleep. I think other people might think this is because we're distracted by our phone or like we're reading too late or we just need to settle down. But as somebody with this disorder, I know that's not the case at all. I actually find that I'm really productive late at night and I tend to get most of my creative work done then. For some reason, I found that people with this disorder have more energy and focus at night rather than during the daytime. And there might be a scientific reason behind it. I just don't know it, but it's definitely something I've noticed in myself and others with this disorder. And I want to mention this isn't something that we can help or take a lot of preventative actions for. It sometimes just happens. For us, it's especially hard to turn off our brains at the end of the day. I do take melatonin now and it does help to an extent, but sometimes that isn't enough to put me to sleep and I'm just awake thinking. I really do try and quiet my mind, but it's really up to chance if I'm gonna actually fall asleep. And between the extra energy and constant thought stream in our head, it can be really hard to follow a sleep schedule and get an adequate amount of sleep. Number two is you have trouble with impulse control. This is something I had no idea related back to my ADD until I did more research into it. Having trouble with impulse control essentially means that you're having trouble controlling certain behaviors or emotions that can sometimes be seen as not normal or not socially correct. This can appear in many different ways. In some people, this can be seen as a physical impulse, like if your brain tells you to throw your pencil across the room, you know you don't want to throw your pencil across the room, but since your mind is moving so fast, it kind of takes control of your body and does it before you have a chance to think about it and rationalize why you shouldn't do that. In others, this can be seen more in social settings where they talk over other people because they're afraid they're gonna forget what they're gonna say, or they have something to add and they just end up talking over other people. They don't mean to do it, they just are afraid they're gonna forget what they're gonna say. Or this can be seen in emotions as well. Like if you're really upset, you can't find your favorite pair of shoes and you burst into tears, like it's not something you can control, it's just something that happens. There are actually quite a few disorders that share this lack of impulse control, and it's nothing to be ashamed about and it doesn't make you a bad person at all. There are ways of dealing with it and working through it, and so many people struggle with this, so you are definitely not alone if you struggle with this as well. Number three is you're super forgetful. You can be the most organized person ever and still forget things. This can be big things such as forgetting projects or appointments, or it can be something small such as forgetting where you put your car keys. In my personal experience, I find that I sometimes forget to eat because there's so much going on up here that I just forget sometimes. And this isn't something specific to people with ADD or ADHD. People forget things all the time. It might happen more often than we would like, but we know it's not something we do on purpose, so we shouldn't beat ourselves up over it. I've probably talked about this a million times, but a way that I find helps me stay organized better is bullet journaling. Since I draw my own bullet journals, I find that I'm able to draw it in a way where I can just absorb in information really quickly and I can see everything that's coming up. There are plenty of other tools that might help you organize yourself better so that you're less likely to forget something, but just know that things happen. It's totally okay. You don't have to beat yourself up for forgetting things from time to time. Number four is hyperfocus. This one is a blessing and a curse. Hyperfocus is kind of when you're able to shut off the rest of your mind and body and focus solely on one thing and one thing only. I'm gonna be real, this is something we have absolutely no control over. We can't choose when we hyperfocus or how long we hyperfocus for. For me, this can happen anywhere between 1 and 8 hours. It really depends on what I'm doing, but hyperfocus for me kind of feels like this urgency to get all my thoughts out and work as hard as I can because I don't know when I'll have another opportunity to be as clear-minded and motivated to do whatever I'm doing. So I really value that time a lot and and try and use it to its full potential. So much so that I don't even get up or move during this because I'm afraid I'll forget what I was doing or lose my train of thought. But this also means while I'm hyper-focused, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking any water. I can't even get up to pee because I'm worried I'm not going to be able to get back on track. So that's the most common type of hyper-focus. But there's actually a portion of us who can hyper-focus on something, someone, or even some activity that we're passionate about for days, weeks, or months. It can really be caused by anything like a favorite book or a favorite character in a movie, or even something artistic like painting. We just become obsessed with it. It's all we think about, it's all we want to talk about, and it can be really hard for us to get work done because of it. And again, this lasts for however long our brain wants to hold on to this one thing. This is again something that people without this disorder also have as well, but I find that people with ADD or ADHD tend to feel it so intensely. I wanted to throw that one in here because I feel like it's not talked about a ton, but I feel like there's a lot of people with this disorder that also have that and don't understand why. Number 5 is having a messy room. Having ADD or ADHD really does affect our everyday lives, but I find something that can be really determinative of how you're doing mentally is how clean your room is. Since people with this disorder are prone to distractions, it can be really hard for us to keep a clean room. Sometimes when we make the effort to clean, we end up distracting ourselves in the cleaning process and forget we were even cleaning. In my case, I really try my hardest to keep my room as clean as possible because I find I'm more likely to get distracted if my room is messy. So having a clean work environment is super essential for me. So I make an effort to tidy everything up before I go to bed so that when I wake up in the morning, I have a clean workspace, which is a good system to follow if you're like me and you really need that clean environment to function at your best. But again, it can be a real challenge to keep your room clean when you struggle with this. Number 6 is you don't mind silence. I might just be speaking for me on this one, but I find that I really don't mind the silence. I, in fact, don't even notice it most times. I know there are some people that like to have TV on or music as background noise because the quiet can be unnerving or bothersome to them, but I find that my thoughts kind of act as background noise for me. Let me explain. My head is like a constant buzzing of noise. So in my head, I usually have like 2 songs playing, a cat video, definitely a TikTok or 2. Usually I'm thinking over conversations I've had earlier in the day or some random show that I've gotten interested in. It's just like a constant buzzing of thoughts that are the background noise to my actual thoughts. I really hope that made sense. I really don't know how to explain what it's like. And this can be annoying as I never really get to enjoy the quiet, but on the more positive side, I'm never bothered by a quiet room. I will say, on the contrast, if I'm ever in a loud room, it can be really overwhelming for me because of the constant buzzing that's already going on inside my head. The added noise can sometimes stress me out, especially if somebody's trying to talk to me or give me directions and I just can't hear them properly or understand what they're saying. This can be different for everybody. This is just something that I've noticed in my experience. Number 7 is talking really fast. This one actually has quite a bit of research as to why this actually happens, like from a scientific standpoint. I probably won't do a good job of explaining this, so I'll leave some links down below to some research articles if you're interested in learning more about it. But my explanation of it is that people with ADD or ADHD tend to talk fast because our minds are thinking faster than we're able to articulate. I think there was a video that went viral a few months ago on how people with ADD or ADHD think and process information versus how normal people think and process information. But essentially this video shows how we actually think, and though it may seem normal to us, it's fast to other people, and it shows how frustrating it can be to make our minds go a little bit slower to have other people understand us. So now that you kind of see what it's like inside of our heads, you can see how this affects our speech patterns and how we talk. Because our thoughts are at super speed all the time, we feel like we might forget what we're going to say or we're just not going to say it properly, so we tend to speak really fast to get it all out, and we can even stutter, miss words, or slur our speech because of this, and I am definitely guilty of that for sure. Number 7 is you have random bursts of energy. I feel like everybody can relate to this one to some extent. It's like you get your second wind out of nowhere and you can run a marathon. This again can be a blessing and a curse. It's great if you get this in the middle of the day or like you have something to do or you're going to work out, but I find that people with this disorder can sometimes get it at the strangest and most inconvenient times. Okay, well that's maybe just my bad luck, but let me give you an example. This includes, but is not limited to, long car rides, movie theaters, in the middle of the night when you need to not wake up your family, the second before you finally fall asleep, the end of your work shift, study time, entering a library, and or a doctor's office waiting room. Like, I'm not kidding, I have these at the most inconvenient times. I find that staying away from caffeine does help with this a bit, but I do have some advice for people who are also struggling with this. Try and find a little project that you're really interested in to work on when you have these bursts of energy at an inconvenient time and you need something to do. Mine was making this video. I have been planning this video for a pretty long time now, and every time I get a little burst of energy, I will work on it. And I've been working on it in little sections for so long that I'm very excited to finally film this and post it. So that was my short list of things that you may not know might be related back to your ADD or ADHD. I do have another video where I talk about tips and tricks that may help you better manage your ADD or ADHD in school, so I will link that video up here in the description box below if you are interested in checking that out. I want to say really quick, thank you guys so much for the support on that video. You guys were so helpful and kind in the comments, and I really loved hearing your experiences and advice with this. I just truly want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. If you liked this video and you want to see me do more like it, be sure you give this video a thumbs up so I know to make more for you guys. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel down below and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss a thing. Stay safe, stay healthy, make good choices, and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.